You know, they've got these.
First we'll listen to Jonathan Turley, and then we'll head over to Truth Social and see what's going on with our friend.
Conversations that were memorialized by the president's attorneys. There's also this recording.
And we're live. Hi, everybody. I'm your Kevinly Father, Kevin Williams. Hi, Marcy. Hi, Kimchi. Hi, At Random. Hi, Restream.io. That's me. Let's get right into it. Here's Trump at a fundraising dinner in South Carolina. And they're playing the music so loudly that it's popping their speakers. Hi, Jessica. Let's get past that. Oh, he can't needlessly adjust the mics because they're stationary. He's going to do it anyway, I bet. There it is, and... what the hell? He has to touch the station. Those mics are designed to pick up anything within a 6-foot circle. But he's got to... Here we go. Mike Pence. Mike Pence. What a number. Never liked him. I barely know the man. USA, USA, yes. So quiet. Can you guys hear him okay? Let's see. Is his audio gone? There, let's try now. Yeah, he's so quiet though. Hold on, let me turn him up. Let me see if there's anything I can do from their end. The governor before him, McMaster, was speaking super loud. And they pumped him up in the middle of it. I think what happened is the audio-visual people at the place played the intro song. Proud to be American, we're listening there for... And then that was way too loud, so now they've pumped the volume down, so they may pump Trump up in a second here. We'll try and monitor that.
44 out of 46 counties. That's not so bad.
Here goes.
It's a record. That was on primary day, and I can't wait to win all 46. We want to do 46 this year.
All right, if it's drowning in your ears, let me know.
February 24. I want to thank South Carolina GOP Chairman Drew McKissick, good friend of mine. He's done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it, Drew, wherever you may be. Drew, thank you very much. What a great job he's done. Also, we want to thank your amazing governor. You know, when I wanted some people to endorse me in 2015, and I said, who's that lieutenant governor? He looks pretty good. We skipped over somebody else very quickly. His name's McMaster. He's got a fabulous family, a fabulous wife. I said, I got to get his support if we have his support, and I got his support. And I'll tell you what, he worked about 30 hours a day, and Peggy was with him. I'll tell you that. And they worked, and we ended up winning, and we had his support. And he's my friend, and he's been a...
South Carolina's a very red state, so he didn't really have to work 30 hours.
Really great governor, and I just want to thank you very much. Henry and Peggy, thank you very much. You have really been a great governor, too. And he actually kept his state open. You know, unlike some people that say, gee, you kept it open. No. A lot of beaches were closed.
He's talking about DeSantis.
The place was closed and locked up.
Remember, Trump told everybody to lock down the country for 15 days, and then 45 more days, 30 more, I don't know.
You did a great job. A friend of...
But in all of their minds, it never happened. It just never happened. 2020 doesn't exist. Except for the gas prices.
Mine and a guy who really understands politics, I think.
Okay, he's been doing the thank everybody thing for a few... Anytime he has a dinner, that's what he does. So let's just skip through as much of this as we can. How's everybody? If you want to talk about anything else, we can. I don't know how long I'm going to stick around to do this, because quite frankly, I got a lot of other stuff to do, and this is the same old, same old. So I'm just seeing what his reactions are to whatever's going on with his threats to everybody and the witnesses.
He understands politics. Thank you.
Yeah, he's going
Where
to
the hell are you, Joe?
Where the hell?
On the fly, and he's Fry. Russell Fry. Where's Russell?
What?
William, thank you. Great job. And somebody that came in on the fly, and he's Fry. Russell Fry. Where's Russell? He went in and he did a job. Thank you, Russell. And he really has.
That was almost acceptably human.
Those two guys and that whole group that I mentioned, they're warriors. Every one of them is a warrior. All different, all very different people. Different forms of fight, but they're all warriors.
Yes, they're all different people. That is correct. Judges agree.
And another warrior is your Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evatt.
Yeah. All right, let's see how far we can go. Oh. Are we
running on fumes right now because...
How about that?
Where is Merrill, please?
Okay, we're still doing this.
Also, one of the most important failure. Under my leadership...
Oh, here we go. Here's the real thing. Okay, here we go.
Henceforth, it'll be defined as inflation, taxation, submission, and...
Okay, let's go back.
Bidenomics.
Okay, Bidenomics. There we go. Okay. So Bidenomics is sticking. It's working. People are starting to hear it and say it. So he's about to try and rebrand Bidenomics, and it'll be something terrible.
Where is Merrill, please?
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you very much. You've done a great job. We appreciate it.
All right, start with the teleprompter, sir.
Also, one of the most important issues of the campaign will be who can rescue our country from the burning wreckage of Bidenomics. You know what that stands for, right? Henceforth, it'll be defined...
Well, what does it stand for? Well, the B stands for bad. And the I stands for I think it's bad. And the D... Oh, that's it. No more volume, everybody. That's the end of it.
We built the greatest economy.
Hold on.
Fourth, it'll be defined as inflation, taxation, submission, and failure.
That is not what the B stands for.
Under my leadership,
there's not even an F in it.
We built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We actually built the greatest economy.
It's not even close to the greatest economy in the history of the world. Before COVID, again, COVID never happened in their minds. Before COVID, GDP was 2.4%. And manufacturing was in contraction.
In the history of the world. And you were a big beneficiary in South Carolina. In fact...
You were a big beneficiary. Because that's a word that no one has ever used except Trump. Beneficiary. They were beneficiaries. There's no such thing as a beneficiary.
We did it twice. The greatest economy in the history of the world. We actually built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And you were a big beneficiary in South Carolina. In fact, we did it twice.
They were a fishery.
And when I get back in the Oval Office...
In terms of the crabs, remember he had the crabs in Maine and the fisheries in South Carolina?
And I always say we because we're getting back. It's not me, it's we. But we will do it once again, and it'll be bigger and better and stronger than ever before with all of the things you're watching, and it's horrible. I looked at New York City last night with what's going on there. I look at Chicago.
That was like a TikTok promotion gone bad, by the way, what happened in New York City. TikTok or one of the kids' things.
I look at all of these different places.
Some idiot said, yeah, I'm going to give away all these PlayStations and gift cards in Union Square. Come on down, everyone. Everyone. We don't have a permit. Just all these thousands of people. Come down right now.
All run by Democrats, by the way. Not Henry. All run by Democrats. Henry, you must go crazy when you see the incompetence and the stupidity. The stupidity. But all run by Democrats. But day one, stupidity. But all run by Democrats.
Right.
But day one, the Biden economic bust will be replaced with the historic Trump economic boom. We're going to have a boom like beyond what we had, and we had the best ever recorded. Any numbers you see that are economically positive right now in the...
Not even close. I wish he said we had the best boom.
Biden administration or because they're
I wonder if he's La Chigra or Bunny.
running on the fumes of what we created years prior to their taking
What?
running on the fumes of what we created years prior to their taking office. We created something that was so incredible, and they're running on fumes right now because
They're recovering from COVID that you ignored, and the economy crashed, fell 32%.
what they've done is unbelievable and so bad and so foolish and so stupid. The contrast between our agenda's incredible success and Joe Biden's crushing economic failures could not have been more stark. Let's look at some of the facts comparing crooked
Yes.
Joe Biden, and he is crooked as hell. Boy, do
Yeah.
you believe what's going on? Lindsay, what's going on with this guy? He's crooked. Now we have to do something about it.
Yeah, what are you
They
going to do?
do, we don't. We
Yeah?
gotta do something about it.
Yeah? What are you going to do?
I think it's up to $32 million so far they've caught. 32 million. And that's peanuts. That's what they've caught. And Jamie Comer and
That's what they've got? They wit? What? Who? What? Anybody understand what he's saying there? That's what they cost? He's talking about the money spent on investigating him. We just went from Biden and the corruption and all that nonsense to what it's cost to investigate him?
Jim Jordan have done an incredible job in their committees. They really have in finding out. And they're
Or 32 million maybe he says that Hunter Biden took in money? I don't know.
being blocked.
Oh, that they caught. I bet he's saying caught. Are you guys in the chat room? Are you working? Can you get through? Am I even broadcasting anymore? Am I being blocked? Hold on. Let me go check and make sure that we're actually up right now. I'm not seeing us anywhere. Oh, there we are. Yeah, no, we're here. Okay. Just you guys are being quiet. I get it.
Every way along the way, but they don't care. They're going, and they've got a lot more, and they tell me and they tell everybody. You just watch them. They say there's much more to come, and it's really bad.
Right?
Let's look at the facts comparing crooked
We're still waiting. It's been 3 years, and we're still waiting for any evidence whatsoever.
Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump. Under Biden, real incomes have gone down by $7,400 per family. Think of that.
Yeah, but you take out the 1%, and it's like up by 45,000. It's not, but it's a skewed number.
And under President Trump, yearly income went up on average $6,000. No
Until COVID, and then 21 million people lost their jobs.
nobody's ever come
Oh, but that didn't happen. That never happened. Vote GOP.
close to that number. During Biden's first 30 months in office, just 2.1 million new jobs were created. And by contrast, during my first 30 months in office, we created 4.9 million new jobs.
No, he's 2.1 million above all of the jobs that also came back from COVID, and presidents get to claim whatever job, whatever level you're at now, that's the level that you don't get to say, oh no, those jobs existed before. So they're just re-existing now. You can't claim credit. The presidents don't create jobs, with the exception of Trump and all the fact checkers. They really don't.
Jobs a record, millions and millions more. Experts predicted, by the way, that we'd have a much lower number. We had a record number. Under Bidenomics, gas prices are again nearing $4 a gallon. Do you see what's happening? Gas is going up, everybody.
Yeah. Demand. It's summer. That's what always happens. Sure. They're also down more than $1 from last year on average.
They're going to have to get smaller, and then they're forcing into all electric.
Because Trump was saying it was going to be 7, 8, and possibly even higher. That's what he said was going to happen. And gas prices, they've actually come down. But, you know, Trump.
Does everybody like the idea of all electric and you can drive for 1 hour?
I drive for multiple hours with my all-electric car. I don't know. Is he buying a 2011 Nissan Leaf?
So crazy. These people are crazy. But gas prices are again nearing $4 a gallon, and for much of Biden's term, you have to remember Americans have paid $5, $6, and $7 a gallon.
No, the average was 501. That was the top.
You're coming.
Might have gone to 503. I could be wrong. I'm not sure because I don't buy gas. I have an electric car and a hydrogen car. And the hydrogen's free. Actually, so is the electricity. That's another story.
Up, and you're coming back to those prices again. You know, we did a great job in filling up the strategic reserves.
He didn't. He said he was going to do it. They did not fill up the strategic reserves. When Trump left office, it was with less oil in the strategic reserve than when he arrived. Huge lie. Completely wrong. Completely afactual.
And now he's just decimating. We have the lowest level, I think, ever recorded. And that's not meant to...
No, I mean, when it first started, it was... Okay. Anyway, we're somewhere around half. We have plenty. We're okay.
Keep gasoline prices down for an election. That's meant for...
Yeah, he said that they would go down for the midterms and then jump right back up again. They have not.
War, that's meant for military, that's meant for major emergency, and they use it just to try and keep it down, but they're almost out. It's almost down right to the bottom. Nobody...
Nope. Somebody want to fact check that? How much strategic energy we have, oil we have left in the SRO?
Who's ever seen
SPR.
Anything like it? And if you look at your energy costs and your gasoline prices, they're going up, and they're going up very fast, and inflation has reached the highest level in half century, and mortgage...
Well, no, now it's down below 3%. But
rates are now pushing a brutal 7%. And
that's true. That's true, and that's part of the reason why inflation is down so much.
They are going much...
Phil, this is from tonight. He's doing it again.
Higher. Americans now have to pay $366,000 more in interest payments just to purchase a house. So you purchase a
on what house?
It's going to cost you almost $500,000 more in interest payments.
Oh, how expensive is the house that you're buying? You can't just say that.
When I was your president, the 30-year mortgage rate reached a record low of 2.65%. Doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah.
Inflation was less than 1.9%, and we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon.
And a record number of Americans were out of work, and people wouldn't go to restaurants. Half the country was shut down. I kept kids out of school.
Under crooked Joe Biden, the radical Democrat communists have piled over $10,000 of job-killing regulatory costs onto the backs of every single American household. And they did this in less than 3 years. By contrast, under the Trump...
It hasn't hit my household yet, I guess.
Trump administration, we cut the cost of job-killing regulations by an amazing record number, $11,000 per household. You know,
if you include the time during COVID, yes.
Little things like your sink. You know, you buy a sink, and no water comes out because they have regulators on the water, even if you...
Right, there's so sinks and there's no water. You guys know that, right? With the sinks. Also, I guess you have to hook it up to the water supply, is what he's leaving out there. It used to be toilets, it's sometimes dishwashers. He's talked about light bulbs. Now it's sinks. Your sinks, there's no water coming out of your sink.
You're in a state where water comes out of heaven all day long. Doesn't make any difference. When you take a shower, I like to have, I have this gorgeous head of hair. When I take a shower, I want water to pour down on me when you go into these.
That's not down. This is sideways, sir. This is what. This is how we do shower. This is shower or itsy bitsy spider. They both work.
New homes with showers, the water drips down slowly.
Okay, good.
Slowly.
Closer.
You
Closer.
have suds, beautiful, nice, wonderful suds.
Beautiful suds. That's what I do. A lot of times I'll be taking a shower. I'll turn off the water while, because I want to soap up and whatnot and save the water because you don't waste God's water. That's what they told me. And I'll get out and I'll look in the mirror. I get water all over the place, but of course not much water because my shower doesn't actually produce water like my sink either. But I'll look at the suds and they're just beautiful. And sometimes I'll take a selfie. You guys probably saw them on my Twitter. I'll post feeling cute. I'll delete later.
A lot of money, Procter & Gamble, all that crap that they say is good.
If only we could put off more nuclear bombs and make the hurricanes that are very wet in terms of water.
It probably cost them...
You're absolutely right, Christopher Ryan. Christopher knows what I'm talking about.
It's about 2 cents and they sell it for $10. But you can't... It takes you 10 minutes to wash your hair.
Not my hair.
What you do, you just stay in the shower about 10 times longer than you would have. It's the same. You probably use more.
Yeah. Does anybody stay in the shower 10 times longer with a restricted shower head like at a hotel or something? Does anybody do that? If you do... I know what is happening here. We go to a hotel with Melania or even in Mar-a-Lago and she stays in the shower for 10, 20 minutes, so much longer than she used to. Melania, what are you doing in there? I want to go have some steak and ketchup. It's my favorite. I'm busy, Donald.
Water. I broke
Stop talking, Donald. You're distractifying me.
all that up. I opened it up. Your sinks.
You ladies know what I'm talking about. Second shower head. That's right.
Everything. They had dishwashers where the head of Whirlpool came to see me. They were in serious trouble in Ohio. And they said, we don't have any water. They don't let us use water. He holds up a little glass and he says the bottom of the glass is water. That's what we're allowed for washing machines and dishes.
Yeah. This never happened, by the way. This is not 5 gallons of water.
And I said, that's crazy. So
It is. It is crazy. He's correct.
Immediately broke it up. We opened it up, and people got the greatest washing machines and dishwashing
This is state law, by the way. He did nothing.
machines and everything. And we opened
This is why if you go, like in California, I can't order certain shower heads. They're only shipped to states that don't have a water issue.
up the showers. We opened up.
Christopher's correct. He flushes documents down the toilet. So yeah, he needs more water pressure.
Everything. And you know, you're talking about, for the most part, states that have so much water, they don't know what the hell to do with it.
Uh-huh.
And we did a great job. He goes in almost immediately after he gets into office. He ended up putting the restrictors back on, all restrictors. So now you can go buy a new home and you can't wash your hands. It's really a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But we'll open up. That
I thought we couldn't buy new homes because of Bidenomics and the interest rates. What happened?
was one little thing that were really just a few. It's just like with the electric cars where, you know, in a short period of time, everybody's going to have electric. You know who that's great for? China, because they make all the electric cars.
Ah, but he passed the Inflation Reduction Act that's mandating that American companies have to make those cars in America with American parts. And guess what? It's working.
We have gasoline. They have all of the other minerals and everything else
We have minerals too.
in their earth that are good for electric cars. They are going to take over the world with the stupidity. You know, we have an economy that I had going at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, he opened up the showers, Rob. See, and Melania was busy inside. She looked like she was breathing heavily. I guess because she couldn't get any oxygen in there or something. She was exhausted, it seems like, from waiting so long for the water to wash her hair.
And they were really concerned.
Cheeks were all red because it was too hot.
And we were always going to be caught by China in 2018. When
No, it wasn't 2018.
2018 came along, we were so far beyond them. I said that if presidents are smart, they will never be able to catch us. We were doubling them up. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars in
No other president ever taken 10 cents.
taxes and tariffs. They never saw anything like it. They said, this guy, this is our... Not one president...
Did they? They said, this guy, this is our... That's so China, isn't it? So classic. This guy, this is our...
They never saw anything like it.
Yeah.
They said, this guy, this is our... Not one president
Right?
ever charged them for decades 10 cents of anything.
This
They
guy,
were ripping us
this
off,
is our...
just like most other countries of the world. They were ripping us off. It's
This
actually
guy.
hard to believe how we survived. But of course, you have $35 trillion in debt.
Uh-huh.
And we were going to do so much with energy that...
But you added $8 trillion to the I don't know. It must be me because I'm confused by some of this.
We were going to pay off a lot of that debt because we were...
Yeah, Christopher, his tariffs put us into manufacturing contraction.
If you ever took a look at
And also started increased inflation. Then we had COVID, which helped with the whole inflation thing because supply and demand. No demand, lots of supply.
Saudi Arabia and some of these oil-producing nations, the kind of money that they make is astronomical. Well,
yeah, because the oil belongs to the government, not the people.
we have more oil.
Sorry, it doesn't belong to corporations.
Call it liquid gold, oil and gas.
Do you?
Liquid
That's
gold
clever.
under our
Yeah.
feet than any other nation in the world
That's not even true. We're 11th.
by far. Did you know
Not by far. We're 11th.
that? and we were going to supply all of Europe. We were going to supply everybody. We were going to make so much money, we'd pay off debt, and then we'd lower taxes again. We had the biggest tax cut in history.
Here's the problem. The United States doesn't get that money. It gets a small portion of that money. The oil companies and the shareholders of the oil companies get the big money out of that.
We were going to lower taxes still further. And then
after the midterms, remember? He said after his midterms that he lost, he said he was going to lower taxes by 10% if the Republicans won. And they didn't. But no attempt was made regardless.
Because an election was rigged. They get into office, and what do? Let's stop drilling. Oil.
They haven't stopped drilling. We just set a record for oil production in the United States.
Prices at the highest price ever, and they say, let's...
No, oil was never at the highest price ever during Biden's term. It's not even close.
Stop.
I mean, I don't know if he remembers the 1970s. He's pretty Adderalled up at the time.
Drilling. When oil prices are high, that's when you should say, let's drill and make a fortune, and let's pay off debt, and let's lower people's taxes. But they didn't do that. Joe Biden immediately shut...
Well, the oil companies increased production gradually after COVID. Yeah, that's what happens. Plus, we're missing a workforce. Why? Several reasons. Retirees down the line. One big reason is immigration. We will not fix the immigration laws to allow people into the country that are happy to work on the oil rigs.
Shut down immediately, first thing, almost the first day, shut down the Keystone XL pipeline.
Carrying Canadian oil that was going to be refined and leave the United States. It was Canadian oil. We don't make the money on that, sir.
Surrendered our energy.
Canadian company, too. It's not even like Exxon was getting rich off of that. Keystone is Canadian.
Independence.
Goddamn Canadians.
And future dominance. We're going to be dominant in there. We were going to produce more oil and gas than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. And when I took over, we were in third place. When I left, we were long in first place. We were like a rocket ship. When you look at the graphs, we have them, and I show them to you. If you want to see me afterwards, I'll give them to you personally.
He won't.
But please don't say that, because you got a lot of people in this room up there. It's a lot of people. Congratulations, Drew. But now he's pushing the largest tax hike in American history. I don't know if you know that, but your taxes are going to go way, way up. President Trump got you...
I don't know anything about this largest tax hike in American history.
The biggest tax cuts and regulatory cuts in history by far. And
nope, not true.
we achieved American energy independence for the first time in 60 years.
Nope, not true.
And we were soon going to be energy dominant for the first time ever. We're going to be dominant.
Who knows? I don't know. That's not a thing, so it's really hard to quantify.
We're going to be dominant all over the world. And they stopped it. They stopped. And I fought for the workers of...
No, they stopped during COVID. They stopped producing energy during COVID. That's why. Because there was zero demand. Oil was literally less than $0 a barrel. Companies were paying others to take the oil because they had no room for it. Tankers were sitting full.
Like no president has ever fought before, and I appreciate, Henry, you're saying that, but it was very important to me. You know, we ran twice in the state. We won twice by a lot. We won both primaries. Now we're going to do it again, and this will be the single biggest and most important election in the history of our country, maybe in the history of the world, because we're going to turn our country around, because our country right now and our leader right now is an embarrassment. He can't put two sentences together. He can't speak.
He can't.
I watch. Everybody's on, even me, I'm watching. I say, oh, this guy, he can't talk. And you know, when you look, I got to know these world leaders, President Xi, Macron of France, all these big leaders.
Why is he saying their names like that? Macron of France.
Every one of them.
Did they say, no, no, no?
Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Oh, sir, he's got a lot of nuclear weapons. I did a great job in North Korea. You didn't have any problems, right? But then you're having a problem.
Well, they created nuclear weapons that can now reach the United States with multiple warheads so that we can't defend against them. I mean, that's kind of a problem, sir.
Now, because he's not so happy.
But when you came into office, they didn't have the capability to reach the United States, except for maybe the West Coast. We don't know. We're not sure because the intelligence. It's North Korea. And then by the end of it, yeah, they can pretty much reach anywhere, and they have these giant warheads carrying multiple warheads, so that even the defenses that we have can't shoot them all.
But all these leaders, and Putin would have never gone in, as an example, would have never in a million years, not even a thought of going into Ukraine. Wouldn't have happened. I told him you're not going in. And we got along good. Nothing wrong with getting along. We got along good, but he wasn't going in. They had no chance. And by the way, China would not be going in. President Xi would not be going into Taiwan, and he's awfully close to wanting to go in because he thinks your leader is...
If he knows a leader's name, he has to say it. But like the leader of Mexico, he'll never say it. He might. We'll find out. Maybe he'll remember it suddenly, but he'll never say it because he's forgotten.
Is incompetent.
And there's no reason to say China, President Xi.
He has no
like a little kid.
Respect for our country anymore. He respected our country so much. He was so afraid of me with the tariffs. No more tariffs, please. No more tariffs, please. Please.
Such a great impression. He hears the crowd respond to him saying please, so he's going to push it.
Please, no more tariffs. Stop it. You know, when I first put the tariffs, so we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. I gave $28 billion to the farmers. But when I first put the tariffs on, China, very smart, by the way, sharp. Oh, the press hates when I say, you shouldn't say they're sharp. No, they got 1.4 billion people. They have a man that controls that very, very strongly. But when I say that, yes, he's an intelligent man, they say, President Trump said he's intelligent. Yeah, he's intelligent. He's so intelligent that he's been ripping off our country for years and years and years. And we had it done to a level, but they pretended the tariffs didn't matter.
So Joe Biden can't complete two sentences, but listen to this guy.
He's so intelligent that he's been ripping off our country for years and years and years. And we had it done to a level, but they pretended the tariffs didn't matter. No, we don't.
They've been ripping off our country for years and years and years, but we had it done to a level, but they don't know.
Don't care about tariffs. And I was shocked, you know, so I said, all right, if they don't care, let's raise it from 25% to 50%. We never had a tariff, you know. They tariff us. If we sell something into China, they tariff the hell out of us, right? So they say, no, we don't care about it. We don't care because they're smart, you know, just like the Democrats, what they go.
Democrats are smart. That is correct.
Disinformation. That's what they are. They're a party of disinformation. We want to run.
They're a party of dissip. It's true.
Against Trump. Well, if they did, they wouldn't have.
By the way, we were talking about China like 8 seconds ago. Oh, goodbye. I don't know if he's finished already and they just cut the feed. Oh no, now we're way back. Can we find it again?
Billions and billions of dollars, and China didn't have to pay anything. Russia didn't have to pay anything. India.
Are we?
They say, no, we don't care about it. We don't care because they're smart, you know, just like this.
We're almost there. Wow. Okay.
That's the problem.
Oh wait, which?
And by the way, virtually every poll, we're kicking Biden. They wouldn't have all these people. If they wanted to run against Trump, they'd say, please.
Okay, hold on.
If we sell something into China, they tariff the hell out of us.
All right, this is where we were.
That's right. So they say, no, we don't care about it. We don't care because they're smart, you know, just like the Democrats, what they go. Misinformation, disinformation. That's what they are. They're a party of disinformation. We want to run against Trump. Well, if they did, they wouldn't have every DA in the nation. They wouldn't have all these people. If they wanted to run against Trump, they'd say, please, come on, step up to the plate. And by the way, virtually every poll, we're kicking Biden's ass. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And if I was...
He's not.
If I was...
But again, he could be in prison by the time the election rolls around.
We wouldn't be under investigation by deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged human being.
So he was under investigation well before he announced his candidacy.
You take a look at that face, you say, that guy is a sick man. There's something wrong with him. Somebody said, why don't you be nice to him? I said, yeah, wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. This guy's a maniac. They gave me a maniac. They gave him the nicest man in the world. You know the boxer's hooks, right? The boxer's hook. This guy's got 1,850 boxes, Lindsay. He's got boxes in Chinatown. He's got boxes in his garage by the Corvette, where the house is run by Hunter. I wonder what happened.
The House is not run by Hunter. I guarantee you, Joe would never let Hunter be in charge of the House.
With those boxes, and he's got boxes of pen all over the place. But all they care about is Trump. And you know what?
Well, because you had boxes of classified documents and documents that belong to the people that you were not the owner of, and Biden has boxes that he is working with NARA.
Under the Presidential Records Act, which is a big deal. He's under nothing.
No, he's not under the Presidential Record Act. That just says you can take personal documents. You can't take government documents. Specifically, that's what it says. That's all the Presidential Records Act is.
He didn't have it because he was a vice president. The Presidential Records Act says I can do whatever I want.
It does not. There is no law of any kind in the United States that says you can do whatever you want.
He did the right thing. No, it's just a hoax. These guys, what they're doing with this election interference, and the Senate has to step up and do something.
It's not a law. It's a Pepsi campaign.
The House is doing a lot of things.
And I am subject to the presidential, and since I'm a president, I'm pretty much like a king. And so when Burger King says have it your way, that applies to me.
But the Senate, under perhaps the worst leader in the history of our country running the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has to step up.
Well, wait a second. First off, Mitch McConnell, Republican, not the leader of the Senate. Secondly, you can't have Biden be the worst leader of the country and also have Mitch McConnell be the worst leader in the country, because they're both in the country. One is not a leader. Guys, help me. How does anybody take this man seriously? Why is this a thing?
And do something, because
I'm hungry. Who's got pizza?
They have.
You know what I want is Burger King, because I can do anything. I could go to Burger King and murder half the people there, which would be one person.
Done, and you have some good ones, and that guy right there is trying very hard. He's working hard, but they need a lot of other people.
Yeah? Who's that guy?
They better do, and stop just handing out
But thank you for sharing that with us.
Money every time. 1.7 trillion to the Democrats, and they get 10 votes. I'm telling you, Lindsay, they have something on Mitch McConnell. There's no way.
Oh, okay. This is the blackmail theory of Mitch McConnell. Lindsay's in the Senate, by the way, has to deal with Mitch McConnell on a daily basis. Mitch is having difficulties.
That he's doing this.
You know what I want? And I'm not going to get it, but Papa John's has like a garlic stuffed bacon cheese squirrel pizza stuffed crust pizza. And I am not gonna patronize Papa John's just because Papa John is a terrible human being, and I think he's off the board. If he owns any stock, somebody look that up. Can I go to Papa John's anymore? Can I go there? They have a garlic sauce. I do enjoy that. But it's bad.
They've got something on Mitch McConnell. It's a terrible thing.
By the way, Mitch McConnell's going to have to be the leader of the Senate when he runs in 24 if he wants to pass any laws. Unless, I don't know, maybe the Republicans in the Senate will vote in somebody else. Hopefully Dick Durbin.
What's happening with that guy and with the whole, they got to step up. The House is stepping up. They're working hard, and they are stepping up. And
are they?
I think a lot of things are happening, but we'll see.
Nothing's really happening.
Withdrew from the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord.
Yeah, no, that super topical. Thank you for keeping us informed on that.
This was the greatest ripoff. We had to pay billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, and China didn't have to pay anything. Russia didn't have to pay anything. India didn't have to pay anything. You know why? Because
India!
These are developing countries. They said, we're a developing country too. Did you see New York 2 nights ago? Did you see Chicago? We're a developing country too. We're a disaster country right now, and it's a real sad thing what's happening to America.
Yeah, can you imagine if any riots took place during Trump's term? Would never happen. Would never happen. In 2020, there were no riots of any kind under President Trump.
I will tell you, I ended the worst trade deal
India!
in history, NAFTA. This was the worst trade deal ever. Everybody said you'll never get it ended. I I got Congress to end it and replaced it with the best trade deal this country's ever made, the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made.
It's the same thing.
And it's so good, in fact, that
They call it NUFTA.
Mexico and Canada are now trying to renegotiate
They're not. I keep checking on this. Mexico and Canada are not trying to renegotiate it.
the deal with the Biden administration. And I would think that they have a good chance. All they have to do is see Hunter and work it out. It would be good. I think it's really good. But think of it, I gave the farmers $28 billion. You know, we talked about Iowa. We could talk about...
Yeah, just took it out of the general tax fund and gave it to the farmers, which, by the way, the president can't do. But nobody challenged it like the Republicans challenged Biden's student loan payoff, which actually is based in law. He just took a bunch of money and gave it to Sonny Perdue.
We could...
But you're not supposed to be able to do that. As a president, only Congress can make that allocation. He did it, and nobody complained because the money was going to the farmers.
Talk about South Carolina, but we talk about Iowa and Nebraska
By the way, that mostly went to corporations, not to farmers.
Farm states. I said, there's no way I lose Iowa. There's no way I lose any of them, including, I say, Wisconsin, because I gave the farmers $28 billion, which is the amount of money that China ripped off from our farmers over a 4-year period of time. I got them checks for $28 billion. I said, there's no way that anybody else would have been able to do that, except maybe Henry McMaster. He might be the only. Henry, you would have been able to do it. But we gave him $28 billion. I said, there's no way we lose Iowa, and we're way up in Iowa. We're up like...
Oh, surprise. Great work.
By 40 points or something. We created
over DeSantis.
Nearly 20,000 South Carolina manufacturing jobs in just 3 years. A record that will maybe will be broken someday, but I don't think so very quickly, which everyone said could not be done, Henry, and you were a big part of it. You know that, right? I want to take full credit, so I don't like giving, but I like this guy so much, I'm giving him all this credit. You do have a great governor and a great first lady. And we delivered $140 million to ensure that Charleston has the deepest water port on the East Coast. And to that...
I mean, if you just leave it, it's going to keep getting deeper.
I say, Henry, do you want to make it the deepest water port in the entire world? Would you like to do that? We'll make it a little deeper, Henry, if you want. Henry would call me, we need some money to deepen the port. Oh, how much would that cost? About, $4 billion. Oh, that's great, Henry. Thank you. I appreciate it. But we have the deepest on the whole East Coast, and we might even work on it. Make it a little deeper. We'll make it the deepest in the country.
Yeah, there's breaking news 2 minutes ago. D.C. Metro Police are responding to reports of a mass shooting with fatalities on Washington's southeast side.
And then it's the world.
That's all the information that I see here.
First it's the country, and then it's the world. But it's been a tremendous success, and it's an honor to have been involved. Crooked Joe Biden cares only about enriching his own family, as you probably have heard. I care about enriching your family. I gave up a lot to do this job, I'll tell you. I gave up a lot to deal with these thugs. You know what I get? Because I've done a good job, I get to deal with thugs. So as soon as we...
the Department of Justice. Thugs. Hi to everybody watching on Twitter, by the way. I see you guys.
We get back in the White House, I will end the disaster known as Bidenomics, and we will once again implement...
I think... Back when it was Twitter, at least, now that it's not Twitter, you could say something on Twitter and it used to go into the chat window over there. I haven't seen that happen in a while, so I don't know if it still works. So if you're watching us on Twitter, say something on the Twitter and see if it populates over there. It used to be Periscope too. And when it was Periscope, that would work for sure. But the Twitter comments used to show up over there. I don't know that they do anymore.
The proven economic formula that puts America first. We're going to put America first. They don't put America first. And very quickly, our economy will be great again, and our country will be absolutely, like I say, fairly quickly, like never before. We'll get it to a level that we had it up to. And
that's really great that he's able to use those descriptive phrases like that so that we know where the country will be. Like never before.
We'll do things that nobody will believe. And, one of the good things about not not a lot of good when you look at millions of people pouring into our country every day, totally unchecked and all of the horrible things that are happening with inflation and everything. But one of the things that is positive is that for 4 years we've watched the most incompetent people and the most incompetent and corrupt president we've ever had
It's been 2.5 years.
destroy our country, and we'll be able to do things that we...
I mean, yes. It was 4 years ago we were watching the most incompetent president, and I'm going to capture that.
For 4 years, we've watched the country every day totally unchecked, and all of the horrible things that are happening with inflation and everything. But one of the things that is positive is that for 4 years, we've watched the most incompetent people and the most incompetent and corrupt president we've ever had destroy our country, and we'll be able to do things that we maybe never would have been able to do had we just done it the traditional way. We'll be able to do because they see the crime, they see all of the things, they see people walking into stores, thugs walking into stores, hundreds of young people walking into a department store, walking out with everything in the store. And
because of Biden?
then they announce they're going to close
This was happening in 2020, by the way.
the stores in different
You know, Antifa with the soup.
cities. I won't even mention them, but you know the same cities. And we're going to close the stores because it's no longer economically viable. They walk out, and you know the law enforcement is great, the police are great, they know exactly how to stop it, but they're not allowed to do it. They don't want to lose their pension, they don't want to lose their wife, they don't want to lose their husband, they don't want to lose...
Wait, the Democrats are taking away the policeman's wife? This is not... Oh, maybe if they lose their pension, the wife will leave them. There's deeper issues in that relationship. I'm sorry, but you cannot be a cop's wife and have everything based on the money the cop is making. Not any cop that I've ever known. I mean, it takes commitment to love a law enforcement officer and stay with them. It really does. But, yeah, hell.
all of the things that they're threatened, don't do anything. They actually fire employees who fight with people. Please don't steal that. And they'll fire the employee. There's something crazy going on in our country, but we'll stop that, and we're going to...
Oh, yeah. No item is worth your life. And this is what... They told this to me, I don't know, when I was working on retail in 1992, whatever it was. Hey, if someone grabs something and runs out of the store, don't follow them. Don't try and grab it. Let them take it. We do not want to lose you as a human being. I'm sorry, but the tracksuit just isn't worth it. I mean, if it was Nike, then yes, absolutely. We were told to chase that person.
Day one, we'll terminate every Biden regulation that's harming South Carolina workers, of which there are many. And I will cancel Biden's destructive Green New Deal. It's an insane...
There is no Green New Deal. It's not a thing.
It's an insane thing. I'm for the environment. I want clean water, crystal clean. I want beautiful, clean air. But what they're doing to this country is incredible. They're destroying our shores, our oceans. They're putting windmills all over the place. In New Jersey, they'd never had whales coming up shore. They might have one every 3 or 4 years. Now it's like routine. Whales, big, magnificent whales are being washed up on shore like...
Because they got cancer from the windmills?
Like nothing. It's so sad to see, and everybody knows the reason. Everybody knows the reason.
What is it? Does anybody know the reason? Does anybody know why the whales are coming up to the shore?
To terminate this...
This just started. There's never been breached whales. In fact, I just made up that term. So thank you. You're welcome to use it. Right now I invented it.
Crippling electric vehicle mandates. We're going to do it. We're going to do it fast, and we will stop...
Wait. What's the reason for the whales? Did he just go right on to the electric vehicle mandates? Hold on.
Sure, like big, magnificent whales are being washed up on shore like nothing. It's so...
Like nothing.
Sad to see.
I mean, I'm sorry, but when a whale washes up on shore, the one word I would not use to describe it would be nothing. What's that 45-foot blue thing lying on the shore there, honey? Nothing.
And everybody knows the reason. Everybody knows the reason.
What is it?
To terminate this crippling electric vehicle mandates.
He's going to leave us hanging? He just goes right back to the... What is the reason that the whales are coming on the shore like nothing? What? Come on, dude.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it fast, and we will stop having all of these cars being built in China. We're building our cars back here. We're going to build them back here. They want...
Right, that's what the Infrastructure Act is all about. That's in there. He is such a fucking doofus. He's like nothing.
to take that whole thing away from you.
Is it the windmills that are pushing the whales?
Like they did with Mexico and like they did with a lot of other places. I'll ask Congress to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. You know, your tax cuts that we got you, the biggest tax cut in history, you know, it pretty
they weren't.
much is going to be coming due in a very short period of time.
When would that be, sir? Because you should know this number.
And when that happens, your taxes are going to go through the roof. That'll be a terrible thing, and that's given to you as a gift from the Democrats. Remember that. But we will reduce taxes even further. We'll get it extended, and we will reduce taxes further, because the thing that built our economy were the regulation cuts and those tremendous tax cuts, the incentive for people to work. And
right, which caused job loss and a GDP shrinkage during your term, sir, and a $1 trillion addition every year to the national debt. $1 trillion.
they don't have the incentive right now. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows. Nobody has any. They have no clue.
I have lots of clues. Why doesn't he ever call me?
They announce employment numbers which sound good, 3.5%.
Yeah, that does sound good.
But nobody's looking for a job, so they're fake numbers. In other
That's not how it works.
words, they don't include these people. They're fake. I spoke with Larry Kudlow.
There are now more people working in the United States than under Trump. That's fact.
He said, it's so sad what they're trying to get away with. The whole thing with these people is a con. It's a con. It's like
But what about the whales, sir?
a con job. It's disinformation. Like Russia, disinformation. It's all
That wasn't disinformation.
all disinformation.
Yeah.
These are crooked people. These are very bad people, and they're very dangerous people. To bring tens of thousands more manufacturing jobs back to South Carolina, I will impose a border tariff.
I want to say that one of the plants, perhaps Hyundai, that's being built in South Carolina might already be Volkswagen. Somebody is now producing the battery-operated cars in South Carolina. I think it's South Carolina. But, all right. Someone can look that up if they care. I don't.
On all foreign-made goods. So if they want to say...
Is Volkswagen Virginia? But there, for example, with the Inflation Reduction Act, you can qualify for up to $7,500 in tax credits, not rebates, from the federal government if the car is made in the United States. That's $3,250 plus another $3,250 if the battery components are made in the United States. Some Volkswagen ID4s, electric SUVs, are manufactured in Germany. Those don't qualify. The newer ones are manufactured right here in the United States. That's what the government can do with regulations.
Into our country. And if they want to take our jobs by doing that, we're going to have a tax that's going to be a privilege tax. And this has happened before. You know, in the 1890s, we had a president who was extremely strong on exactly what I'm talking about right now. We had an unbelievably profitable country. We had a country that had so much money, they actually had a commission set up. How do we spend our wealth? They had so much money coming in. I don't know if you know this, Lindsay. It's an incredible part of our country. That's when we built the dam.
Okay, so these are the facts on... Here, I'll bring it over so you guys can see it too. If I can find it. Here it is. These are South Carolina facts. #1 passenger vehicle exporter in the U.S. They make more cars. New jobs created since 2017, 13,359. Automobile companies that build cars there, 500 companies. People employed there, 7,500. $9.6 billion in capital investments from 2017 to 2022. Polestar, that is an electric vehicle made by Volvo. That's built there. Volvo owns Polestar. Who owns Volvo? China. Mercedes-Benz vans. BMW is also making electric version for 90% of the market. BMW plans to have an electric version for 90% of the market segments it competes in by 2023. So anything with an I on it from BMW. So anyway, they make stuff there too. So yeah, but no, Trump's gonna fix that.
And that this and that we built everything, and that was an amazing age. What happened is we had commissions set up how to spend our wealth. We had so much wealth because we charged people for the privilege of selling into our country. They want to sell into our country. You have to pay to do that. It'll also pass what's called the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, and I don't want to get Lindsey Graham.
He talked about this like in 2017. Did he never do this? Is he still on about it?
I'm in trouble, but he told me that this is not like he's sitting there saying, "Oh, please don't say." He doesn't know what I'm going to say, but I don't want to get him in trouble. But I thought it was really sort of incredible. I said, Lindsey, I want to pass a Reciprocal Trade Act because we have countries that, in order to do business in those countries, we have a 200% tariff, a 250%, 100%, a 50%, massive numbers, so that our factories in South Carolina can't really sell it to these other countries because they have a tax. So what I want to do is called the Reciprocal Trade Act.
Okay.
If they charge us a tax,
right,
we charge them a tax. He
right.
said, well, you know, it's very interesting. So you're saying that, because again, this is not, he's got some incredible strengths, but this is not something that he considers to be his strength. He said to me, so you're saying that if they charge us 100%, we charge them 100%?
What?
I said, that's right, Lindsey. He said, you
really? Lindsey asked that question when you told him what the act was called?
got my vote, 100%. And he did. We had his vote. But we had other senators that were very stupid. I said to one who's no longer with us, happens to come from the state of Pennsylvania. I won't mention his name. But I'd say to him, Senator, let me...
What's his face? Now I can't remember his name, but yeah, the guy from... I'm so bad with names. I can picture him.
ask you, China's charges us like 175% tariff on certain products. We charge nothing to them. They just dump it in this country.
Hi, Phil.
Do you think we could charge them 100% tariff? No, sir, that wouldn't be free trade. I said, oh, what about 75%? No. They're at 175%. We're at 75%.
Come on, somebody. A senator from Pennsylvania.
What about 50%? What
Former senator from Pennsylvania.
about 10%? No, sir, you can't do it. I said, he's either the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever seen, or there's something going on. There's something going on. We're going to do a Reciprocal Trade Act because the entire world rips off the United States of America. And by the way, one of two things, and Lindsey understands this, he understood it very quickly, and he did, I swear. Do you remember that conversation? He said, so you mean that's what they do? They do that, and we do this? It sounds good to me. You got my vote, right? But we don't have other people's votes, and you often wonder why, because it doesn't get any simpler. We're talking about solving this massive deficit problem, and one of two things would happen. Either they'd stop charging the tax, and then we would stop, or we'll take a hell of a lot of money into our coffers. So it's very simple. I don't know if you know, you've been watching Live Golf, and a lot of the golfers, I'm friends with a lot of the golfers, and I got a lot of credit for this, actually, which is unusual for the press. They'd call me, they'd say, sir, I was offered $185 million to leave the tour and go with Live. I said, take the money. But sir, what about my legacy? I said, don't worry about your legacy, take the money. Your legacy's going to be just fine. You'll be known as a very smart person. And this particular person took the money, and others took the money. A lot of them took the money. And then they announced a merger. And many of them didn't take the money. And I said, take the money, because there's only three things that can happen. Live would fail, Live would succeed, or Live would merge. And in any event, it's all cash. It's not paid like...
Okay, but succeeding and merging are not mutually exclusive, but okay.
We'll give you your money back over the next 250
And you don't have to watch from the beginning. He hasn't said anything new.
years. It's a cash, it's a check. And those guys that took the money are very, very smart people, and they're very rich people. And others, a lot of them a week before the merger, as I understand it, they turned down hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they hear, we're going to merge. They say, oh man, did we just blow it? So a lot of this stuff is common sense. These border taxes, we're going to have to do it. Our country can become immediately rich, so rich like never before. And look back into the 1890s, look back into that we were taking in money, and it's not so different. It's a long time ago, but that's when we ran our country smart. The problem is we have so many lobbyists.
He's talking about the tariffs back in the 1880s and 1890s.
And people that want China to do well, and they don't care about.
And the isolationism that kept us out of World War I, and then which we got into World War I, and kept us out of World War II, and then eventually we got into World War II after we were attacked. Yeah, the 1920s, by the way, was the Trump era. You can go back to the 1920s and you could look at the isolationism. You can look at the hatred of immigrants. You can look at in fact they banned immigrants just like they did now. You can look at the deregulation. You can look at everything that happened during the Trump administration, and it ended, of course, with the Great Depression.
About us, or they want other countries to do well, and they couldn't care less about us. One thing with me, I care about this country and I care about you, and we're going to do it right. We're going to do it right. And we'll gain total independence from China. And
but remember, he was president for 4 years already. All of this he's talking about, draining the swamp and the independence from China and being the #1 and all this other stuff, he had 4 years to do this. Didn't. And that's why, one of the many reasons why he's not president anymore.
We'll hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the horrible China virus upon the world. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something. They'll do something. Like Mexico, they gave us 28,000 soldiers. Everybody said, oh, you didn't get money for the war. I said, yes, I did. No, you didn't get money for. I said, no, we built the wall. We built almost 500 miles. We got money. What do you mean we didn't get money? They gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. 28,000! That's more than giving us a couple of bucks for a wall. They guarded our border for a long time, 28,000. And everybody thought when I asked for that it was ridiculous. I tell the story a lot where the very wonderful woman that from the State Department, but she never got anything. She was in charge of Mexico for like 25 years. She said, sir, you won't get that. I said, of course we'll get it. Why wouldn't we get it? I said, I want 28,000 soldiers to guard our border while we're building the wall. We're building the wall. And the people from Mexico, the meeting was set up. And I happen to like the president of Mexico a lot. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything. But I like him. I like him. But very different, but I like him. Great guy. But they said, no, we wouldn't give it.
No.
They were laughing at me. I said, no, you're going to give it 100%. Why do you say that? You're going to give it. No, we're not going to give 28,000 soldiers free of charge. What? He looked at me like there's something wrong. I said, no, you will give it. And also, we need a couple of other things, like you stay in Mexico. So these criminals coming in will now stay in Mexico. Congratulations, and stay in Mexico. Catch and release. We're going to release them, but we're going to release them in Mexico, not in our country. You know, right now we have catch and release where we release them because Biden broke up these unbelievable deals that took a lot of guile to make with Mexico. So he said, we're not going to give you 28,000 soldiers, sir. We're not going to give you any soldiers. I said, yes, you are. So I said, come on over, let's talk. You're going to do it. So I explained it to him once more, and I had the State Department people sitting there, and they were sort of smiling because they knew I wouldn't be able to win. I said, give us 28,000 soldiers. He said, no. I said, here's what I'm doing on Monday morning. We're putting a tariff on every single car made in Mexico coming into the United States of 25%. And every single product made in Mexico that comes into the United States at 25% tariff. This is going to be 5 times more than the cost of these soldiers. So you have 10 minutes to let me know. You're going to give me the soldiers. You're going to get rid of catch and release. We're going to have catch and release is called in Mexico. And we're going to do all of these things, including our medical solution. You know all about that Biden ended. What this man is doing to the country, he's either the dumbest human being alive.
What?
And I think, honestly, I do believe it's run not by him, all of this stuff. How can you cheat on an election so well and be dumb? How can you do that? But
Didn't
he's
do it.
surrounded by
Didn't
Marxist
happen.
communists, and they're smart. But
There's your answer. He didn't cheat on the election.
But they're either evil or they don't know, but I really believe...
See, he doesn't understand it. It doesn't make sense to him because it never happened.
I really believe they hate our country because nobody can...
I don't know what he's talking about there either, Shelley. I don't, like, this is just a rambling sentence by sentence. He's off on something different. Still waiting for the reason the whales are breaching themselves.
Allow this to happen. So I said, we want the 28. He said, well, you're going to charge us that? Yes. And then it's going to go up a lot in a very short period of time. But you're going to be paying us billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know, they stole our car industry. They took 32% of the cars that we made in this country are now made in Mexico. None during my time, because I had that stopped. Any car company that wants to go to Mexico or another country, they had a lot of problems. They didn't do it. I had it
They did.
stopped. But then you have a bad election and a lot of bad things happen. So he comes back. I gave him 10 minutes. He came back at about 4. Sir, it'd be such an honor, sir, to give you 28,000 soldiers.
I wish someone would compile all of the AMLO or the Obrador or whoever the negotiation actually took place with. Just compile the way that their voice changes in Trump's mind. Oh, now he's just pleading with him.
We want to give you 28,000 soldiers so we can have them there immediately. And we got 28,000 soldiers for nothing for years.
And Mexico didn't pay for the wall. Bargain.
And we stopped drugs coming in, and we stopped human
Did not stop drugs coming in.
trafficking at a
Did not stop human trafficking.
level. We had the safest border in the history of our country.
It was not the safest border in the history.
As we were building the wall, we built hundreds of miles of wall. And then we said, we completed that, and then we said, let's build another 200
And you missed it. You'll have to watch from the beginning. Sorry.
miles because we saw areas where it was really bad, and we had that whole structure was built. All they had to do was install it. Would have taken 3 weeks, and they unfortunately took over, and they refused to put the wall up. And then they actually took the wall because Texas and Arizona wanted to put it up. They refused to give it to them, and they actually took it and they toted it far away where they couldn't get to it. It was made, the wall was all made and ready to go up. So we did hundreds of miles. We had the safest border in history, and it's so sad to see what's happening when you see mental institutions, when you see all of these people pouring into.
But we don't see the mental institutions. That's the thing. You tell us that the mental institutions are being emptied out and the mental patients walk all the way to America and then get across. You tell us that, sir, but we don't see it.
This country, it is such a sad thing to watch. It's so sad what's happening to our country. There's never been anything like it. To stop this inflation catastrophe that's hanging down and destroyed many nations, we're going to bring down the cost of energy, and we're going to become energy independent. We're going to become dominant. We will be dominant. We were ready to be dominant and dominate Saudi Arabia and Russia. We were going to be twice as big as Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. But we're going to be there very...
Where? Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia and Russia. We were going to be twice as big as Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. But we're going to be there very, very quick.
He just combined Saudi and Arabia and made Saudi Arabia.
As soon as we get in, we're going to be there very, very quickly. And our cry is going to be, drill, baby, drill. And you're going to see prices come plummeting, and you're going to see inflation disappear. And especially after U.S. debt was just downgraded this week. You saw that. Just downgraded in a historic disaster. We have to aggressively roll back Joe Biden's socialist spending spree. He's spending money on things that are only going to be bad for us, really bad things. Very, very few of those, they call it infrastructure. It's not infrastructure. It's not infrastructure as you know infrastructure. What
it is.
They're doing is so bad. If we simply returned to the amount of government spending that we had under my leadership in 2018, we would right now have a balanced budget. Did anybody know that? You know, if we went back just a few years.
No, he promised a balanced budget. In fact, he promised to eliminate the debt. Now he's not promising that anymore. At least not recently, but he will. And the debt went well up under Trump.
We would have a balanced budget, and we were getting ready to have a balanced budget, and then we got hit with a thing called the China virus. and we had other things to focus on. That was it.
We were not getting ready to have a balanced budget. His budget proposal was nowhere near balanced.
A terrible time for this country. That was a terrible.
You can't balance the budget of the United States and cut $1 trillion out of the budget. Sorry, you can't cut $1 trillion in tax revenue out of the budget. It can't be done.
Terrible time for the world, and we did a hell of a job with it too. What we did with that was incredible, with all of the things we had to do, because our country was totally unstocked. We had nothing. Nobody knew what it was. It was this horrible killing dust, but it came.
Is he talking about COVID? The horrible killing dust?
Nothing. Nobody knew what it was. It was too. What we did with that was incredible. And we had other things to focus on. That was a terrible time for this country. That was a terrible time for the world. And we did a hell of a job with it, too. What we did with that was incredible, with all of the things we had to do, because our country was totally unstocked. We had nothing. Nobody knew what it was. It was this horrible killing dust, but it came out of Wuhan. And I said right from the beginning, it comes out of that lab in Wuhan. And everybody said, he shouldn't say that. He's wrong. He's wrong. It turned out that I was right. With this goal in mind, I will fight to implement major spending reductions by restoring the president's historic impoundment power, which will enable us to cut massive amounts of waste and stupidity. Not good things, but waste and stupidity, and return billions of dollars into the U.S. Treasury. We used to have this, and now we don't. And unlike a guy named Ron DeSanctimonious, has anyone ever heard of him? Very disloyal guy. I got him into office, and then he said, yeah, I guess I'd run against him. Why not? Who voted to gut Medicare. Do you know that DeSantis, that's the abbreviated name, DeSantis wanted to gut Medicare and 3 times voted against Social Security, including raising the retirement age to 70. And one thing I found about politicians, when they have an initial idea and then they maybe go back, I don't even know what he does, I don't care. He's gotten so low in the polls, we don't watch him very much anymore. He's like crashed, he's crashing. In fact, he lost his big donors today.
I don't know what he's talking about either, Ann.
Did you see? We're not going to support him anymore. We don't like him. They're calling me now. You know, it's funny. I get calls. Hi, President Ty. I thought you were this. Oh, no. We love you. We think you're great. I said, oh, good. What are my poll numbers? I guess that's the reason. That's the only reason. And I'm getting all these calls from his donors. Hi, President. How you doing? How have you been? Let's have dinner.
That's what they say. Hey, hi, President.
I said, why do you want to have dinner? We want to support you, sir. We think you're doing a great job. And that's only because he crashed. I mean, he's crashing like a dog. I've never seen anything like it, actually. But you need a personality to win. You got to remember, he came to me and he asked me for help. He was losing. He was at like 3% to a guy named Adam Putnam in Florida. And Adam Putnam, and we can tell the story because this is largely a political dinner because of Drew. I mean, you know, it's like, Drew, is it okay to tell this story? I think so. It's too late, Drew. I can't stop now. But what happened is he came to see me, and he said, I need your help. What do you need my help for? I didn't know him that well, but I saw him on television fighting impeachment hoax number 1 and impeachment hoax number 2, along with 200 other people. But he was one of the people, so I figured, and I didn't know Adam Putnam. He was the Secretary of Agriculture. And he came in and he said, I need your help. I said, let me tell you, Ron, you're so far behind that if we brought Abraham Lincoln and George Washington together back from the dead, there's not a damn thing they could do. No. He goes, no, sir, if you endorse me, I'm telling you, they really love you in Florida. If you endorse me, I'll win. And I thought about it.
He's telling the DeSantis thing again?
And I said, what the hell? You ever see that one? We are going to build a wall, like Mr. Trump said.
Okay, we're getting by.
No comment on that. I said, did that guy say he has no comment? That means years later they say, will you run against the president?
Okay, still talking about DeSantis.
No, you got to do that. And then my people would tell me, sir, don't hit him that hard. He's a Republican. I said, I don't give a damn if he's a Republican. So it's one of those things, but he's dying a pretty quick death. He should stop. You know, he could have had 28. I think he could have probably been in pretty good shape, although, you know, you still have to campaign. It's not easy. This is not an easy business. People come out, they think they're going to have 28. But then they got to run against guys like Lindsey Graham and McMaster and some of the people. It's not easy. But he was in good shape to do, but I think I don't think he's going to be electable anywhere, and it's okay with me. But I will always protect, unlike the sanctimonious, I will always protect Medicare, and I will always protect Social Security. But remember, when they go against Social Security, and then they say, oh, I love Social Security, they always end up going back to those things and doing what their original instinct is. I've seen it over the years, hundreds and hundreds of times. We need people with courage.
But it never happens. Nobody ever cuts the Social Security, because then they get voted out of office. But I don't know where he's seeing these hundreds and hundreds of times.
South Carolina governor who's afraid to show up at this beautiful event. You got to show up at these events, Nikki. Oh, did I say that? All I know.
Oh, yeah. So this is Nikki Haley's home state, South Carolina, but she's not here. And this is, I'm not even sure what this is. This is some fundraiser in South Carolina.
Somebody else had Nikki, and I had Henry, and I had Peggy. And they went out, and they didn't stop, and we won, and we won. I'll never forget that night. That was a great night, Henry, right? I said, I wanted Nikki. I helped her a lot over the years. I wanted Nikki, and she went with somebody else. I said, but I got lucky because I got Henry, and I'll take Henry anytime. We did a great job. That was some campaign, right, Henry? And we did better the second time, actually. We did better. Actually, we got many millions of more votes the second time, you know that. Our opponents know that no one can beat us on the economy. This is going to be largely about the economy, but it's also going to be about the border. Nobody can have a border like that. You see what's happening in our cities. Nobody can have a border like that. I really think, you know, everyone tells me, it's about the economy, sir. But, you know, I won on the border in 2016. The border was a big deal in 2016 because it was a disaster. Nothing like it is now. But then guys like Tom Holman, I got them involved, and Brandon Judd, Border Patrol, the ICE people. These are incredible people. They want to see something good happen for our country. But I got them involved. We had the greatest border. But I did such a good job when I ran in the first time with the border that with 2020, it no longer became an issue. It wasn't an issue. The border had nobody ever mentioned border. So sometimes you can do such a good job that it hurts you politically. I said, does anybody want to talk?
He ran in 2020 on let me finish the wall. I got to finish the wall. The immigrants, our nation is ruined. It's a disaster. I've made it great. I've got the safest border in history. Let me finish the wall. But nobody mentioned it.
Talk about the border, sir. That's down to the last thing that anybody, because I stopped human trafficking largely, brought drugs down to the lowest level they've been in 37 years. I had a deal worked out with President Xi. He was going to give the death penalty to people that had anything to do with sending drugs in through Mexico. And you know the particular drug, which is the worst, which happens to be made?
Fentanyl?
He was going to criminalize it.
But you know the particular, you're not going to say the name of the drug? Just like, is it what's killing the whales? Is it fentanyl?
But when I was out,
why are we being secretive about this?
He was happy because he didn't have to do any of that. He didn't have to do any of that. They were going to criminalize it.
Yeah.
And they were going to make it so painful.
I mean, China already has a death penalty for drug deals, but they don't enforce it because the money comes into China and they like that.
That it would have stopped.
I'm sure they enforce it with a whole bunch of people. I mean, they got people.
Doing a hell of a job. And we did so good, though, that we did such a great job that it no longer became a subject. It was never a debate subject. Nobody ever mentioned the border. And these clowns got in, and right from the beginning, they opened up the country. They welcomed everybody.
The border was never a debate subject in 2020.
And as soon as they welcomed, everybody came in. Now they want to give them free education, free hospital. In the meantime, we don't take care of our veterans, okay? Our veterans are laying out all over the streets. It's a horrible thing they've done to our country. So, sort of in closing, when they asked who's the best to improve the economy, it's Trump. Just came in, big poll. Trump just came in at #1 by a lot, 54%. The sanctimonious was at 18%. That was in Iowa. In New Hampshire, it's 55-11, and in South Carolina, it's 60-12. That's pretty good. And in Nevada, it's 65-10, 65% to 10%, and all the rest are in very low single digits. In the most recent Rasmussen poll just came out, we're up by 44 points. We're way
we'll skip this
up.
part.
And election is so important. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I'll never let that happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in their way, and I will never stop standing in their way. You're going to be protected. I promise you this. If you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over and America will be a free nation.
I went back to Trump's Twitter archives to see if anybody was talking about the border in 2020, and surprisingly, he never mentioned the border in 2020, except on October 31st, October 27th, October 25th, October 21st, 21st, or 10th, September 26th, September 23rd, September 23rd, September 18th. So leading up to the election, no one talked about it.
And once again, we're not a free nation right now. We're not a free nation. We have no borders. We have horrible, horrible, unsafe elections, and we have a absolutely dishonest and crooked press for the most part. We have a dishonest press, and you people should be ashamed of yourselves. They don't even write about all of these crimes that they don't write.
I wonder if the RSBN guy is back there going like, why? What did I do? Do you know about the bodies?
You look at the mainstream media, they find millions and millions of dollars going into Biden's account, and they don't even write a story about it. It's hard.
There are no traces whatsoever of millions of dollars going into Joe Biden's account.
Hard to believe. And they should be ashamed of themselves. From the first day in office, I will appoint a special prosecutor to study each and every one of the many claims being brought forth by Congress concerning all of the crooked acts, including the bribes from China and many other countries.
Bribes from China now? There's no claims of bribes from China. Business deals with China with Hunter, but no bribing that we know of. But, his name is Biden, and so they thought they were getting some sort of deal or whatever. And then Joe Biden goes ahead and puts sanctions on 31 countries with connections to the Chinese military. But yeah, totally that
go into the coffers of the...
What about the whales, sir?
The Biden crime family. It's often said that Republicans don't fight hard enough, and I agree with that. They don't fight hard enough. They're very good people, but they don't fight. They have other assets, but they don't fight hard enough, many of them. But they don't say that about Trump, and I think it's one of the reasons that we're doing so well. We fight like hell, but boy, sometimes we gotta have these Republicans step up. The senators have to step up. Some congressmen have to step up. And you'll see that on the first day of my presidency, the deep state, which is destroying our nation, the tables will turn.
That he destroyed in 2016 through 2020, by the way. He completely got rid of the deep state because that's what he promised he would do, and so therefore it happened.
And we will destroy the deep state. We're going to destroy the
Again?
deep state. In just 4 short years, we already achieved more than any administration in the history of our country. If you take a look at what we've done, there's been no...
Go ahead. What have you done?
No administration that has done what we've done. So
then I commented on Twitter earlier today that all the Twitter people, why do you like President Trump? Oh, because he has accomplished more than any other president. What, though? Do you give me specifics? The wall. Didn't finish it.
We appointed over 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. Look at what happened even just...
None of his people know that or care about that.
The other day. And last year, those justices ruled to end Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, for pro-lifers have now a tremendous power to negotiate, which they didn't have before the ruling. They have to understand how to talk about it. Because Republicans, you're going to have to learn how to talk about it. You have something that everybody said...
Republicans have never had a problem talking about abortion.
...was not doable, but you have to understand it and you have to know how to talk about it. This moves the issue back to the states where all legal scholars wanted it. On both sides, they wanted it back in the states. President Ronald Reagan...
Are you going to mention that Lindsey wants a national law on abortion, a national abortion ban? He's right there. Are you going to point at him?
Like me, but he felt very, very strongly about supporting the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And a lot of people agree with that. A lot of people in the Republican Party, most people, but you have to go with your heart. You have to follow your heart. You have to do what you think is right, but felt very, very strongly about it. Remember, the Democrats are the radicals on this issue because they are willing to kill babies in their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th month, and even after birth. That's radical. That's far more radical than the Republicans are, but they've energized this issue. The Republicans are going to have to learn how to fight it. The Democrats are the extremists on this issue. And if you think about it, what we have been able to do, bring it back to the states, but we've given you tremendous negotiating power. You had none, because they could do whatever they wanted. They could kill all the babies. They could kill them even after birth. And there are some places that give actually legislation after birth. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. They are the radicals. You now have a tremendous power to negotiate, which you've never had. And this will all work out. But you have to be able to speak about the subject. I fully rebuilt the U.S. military, created Space Force, defeated ISIS, and brought our troops back home. We had tremendous victories. We knocked out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. And I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. We didn't start a war. We actually completed a lot.
That's complete nonsense. I have not seen a rationalization. And I'll put up on Twitter, I'll put up there, hey, what about Carter? What about Obama? What about, I mean, let's take even Reagan with his 3-minute war in Grenada. What wars did they start? You could say, well, no, I mean, George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., they started wars. What other wars are we in? But yeah, no, he just says it, and that's that. Moving on. And the audience?
But all of that was just the beginning. Here's some of the agenda that we'll immediately implement when we become, all of us together become.
You're not all of you together. It's just going to be you.
47th President of the United
Only one person can be the 47th President, sir.
States, and my representatives.
They're not your representatives, sir. That's not the way representation works.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I know them both very well. We will get it settled. It should have never happened. Should have never happened. Oh, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dead people. The number of people dead is
Oh, the Bowling Teen Massacre was terrible.
far greater than what you're hearing, but we will get it settled immediately, and fairly settled, not for one side or the other. We'll get it fairly settled. And I'm the only candidate who can make this promise to you, and this is a very big promise because I think we're in very big trouble. I will prevent World War III. I will prevent World War III. It's very important.
And if he's wrong about that, well.
Because the weapon...
Can we impeach him if we have World War III? He's going to blame the Democrats.
Today is so powerful, nuclear weapons and other things, but the weaponry today, this isn't 2 army tanks, Second World War, First World War, going back and forth shooting. The weaponry is so powerful today.
That's what the First World War was, just 2 army tanks going back and forth shooting. You've probably seen Tank Command and Battle Zone, the original Atari versions. And some of the tanks had bullets that if you use the joystick, it'll move. And then...
that it's an obliteration of the world. I will make sure it doesn't happen. And I do believe I'm the only one that's going to be able to do that. I will totally obliterate the...
That's really cool, because otherwise, whatever president you elect, except for Trump, we're all going to die. Whole world's going to be obliterated. Oh, well. He just used the word obliterate again. Probably about the deep state. Let's find out.
And I do believe I'm the only one that's...
Do you think he watched Oppenheimer? Probably.
It's going to be able...
I mean, he doesn't have the attention span for it, but he kind of got the gist of it and moved on.
...to do that. I will totally obliterate the deep state. And
yeah, deep state, obliterate.
I will fire the corrupt bureaucrats who have weaponized our justice system, our once beautiful justice system that's now totally corrupt. I will immediately terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration.
There are none. In fact, Biden just lost a case. They're trying to tighten the border policies, and the ACLU is suing. So it'll be interesting when it actually gets in front of the Supreme Court, if it does. But they just lost an appeal.
And following the Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower,
He's bringing up Eisenhower. First it was McKinley, and I'm not going to lose because they had tariffs like Tin Pot Harrison.
Very tough on the border. Nobody knows that, but he was very, very tough on the border. But following that model, the Eisenhower model, we will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Who is going to pick the fruits and vegetables? I'm just saying. That is just the reality of the situation.
You know, there's a recent story in one of the newspapers that they were in a South American country and they were interviewing.
But you're not going to tell us the name of the paper, the headline, the date?
A psychiatrist who was sitting at...
Yep. And that psychiatrist said, yeah, we were opening up the asylums, and they're sending all the... We're telling them, walk that direction and just keep walking until you get into the United States. You know, the people with the mental issues. So they're getting across Venezuela. We're not sure how, because that's not easy. And then they're getting through the triangle, let's say Guatemala, and then they're getting past the southern border of Mexico.
A table, and they said, how long have you worked at this hospital? A large mental institution, insane asylum actually, but
but we don't know the country.
It's a mental, they say, please don't use that word, but it was a mental institution. He said, I've been here for 22 years and I've been so busy, I worked so hard. Every hour of every day I worked.
30 hours a day.
But now I don't have any patients. This is a big deal. He said, where are your patients?
He's this guy without the patients, he's a big deal, guys. So you know the story's true.
All been brought into the United States.
Brought into somehow.
Actually, what he's saying is they've been brought here, they've been dumped into the United States. So he's
How?
sitting there in this big, massive hospital, and he said...
He's sitting there in this big, massive hospital that is from the newspaper story, because he watched the newspaper story.
It's the first time it's ever happened. Good man, by the way. But he said the truth. I have no...
Good man or big man?
It's the first time it's ever happened. Good man, by the way.
Oh, good man.
But he said the truth. I have no patience.
Because good men don't usually say the truth.
They've emptied their
I have no patience for this story.
jails.
Yeah.
They've emptied their mental institutions.
Right.
And
which country is this with mental institutions? What newspaper did you read this in? How did you know how big the hospital was, sir? Did they mention it's like an 800-unit hospital? Is that what it is?
Terrorists are flowing into our country at a level never seen before. What Biden is doing to our country is...
Biden's doing that, is he?
Not even believable.
It's like nothing.
Who would think that it's even...
By the way, this is not believable.
Impossible. They're coming in. We have no idea who they are.
I mean, if this could work, that would be awesome for those countries. It doesn't actually work this way.
Where they're from. Last week we had 147 different countries represented. People coming in from 100. Most people don't even know that.
We have 147 different countries? Then when you say most people?
You have that many countries, and you actually have more.
You do? Yeah, that's true.
But 147 countries were represented last week alone coming into our country. We have no idea who these people are, where they come from.
Well, they're coming from the mental institutes, remember?
Most people never even heard of the names of the countries. What's happening?
You have not heard of the names of the countries that are not
at our border. What's happening in our country?
French Guiana.
What's happening with inflation and the stupid energy policies which started inflation? It's not even believable. I will use Title 42 to end.
He's getting really tired, by the way, and looking old. He's leaning on the podium now and just, I will end
the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
To their families in their home countries, and I'll do it immediately.
Oh, okay. No, that's that then.
And to stop the...
He said on Truth Social or something today that he would stop child trafficking and then return all the children to their parents immediately. This is the same guy who had the family separation policy.
Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans and conservatives, Christians,
And Hunter Biden.
Catholics. The Catholic Church is under siege by
It's not.
these crooked prosecutors.
It's not.
But they have people that murder, and they know where they are, and they don't do anything about it. I
Not true.
will direct a completely, very, very powerful overhaul of the DOJ.
Oh, very, very powerful one. Well, that's
We're
good.
not going to have cowards. We're not going to have cowards like Bill Barr, who, when he heard,
Right, the guy you hired, one of your best people, right? That Bill Barr? Go ahead.
"Sir, I'm going to be impeached. They're going to impeach me, sir. They're going to impeach me." I said, "That's okay. I got impeached twice. My numbers went up. Don't worry about it, Bill." "No, sir, they're going to impeach me." Now, how?
No, he wouldn't have said that because he hadn't been impeached twice by then. I don't know if I can do this anymore, guys. This hurts me right here in my head brain.
How do you not get impeached? You do everything they want you to do. He was a coward. But we're not going to have people like that.
Not a coward. He's on national TV now, just berating Trump.
We had great people in this administration, by the way. We had some bad ones, too.
Saying that even if half of the Mar-a-Lago case is true, Trump is toast.
But we had great people in this administration. When you think that we rebuilt our military, we defeated ISIS. We also have great generals. We have phenomenal generals, phenomenal leaders, but not the ones you see on television, real ones. And we did so great with ISIS. I was told ISIS would take 3 to 4 years. We did it in 4 weeks because we had some generals that were unbelievable that I met, that I have great respect for. Our military is potentially incredible, but they've gone woke. The military has it. They want them to go. These sick people want them to go woke, and we don't let that happen. But to investigate every radical DA and AG, and they all coordinate, you know, the Democrats, they all coordinate with the DOJ. But we're going to investigate every...
The DAJ? Is that what he said?
To investigate every radical DA and AG, and they all coordinate, you know, the Democrats, they all coordinate with the DOJ.
Okay, it's... Oh.
But we're going to investigate every single one in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. Because we...
Who are you going to have do that investigation of every single DA in America, sir?
We can't have a country like this. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our beautiful children. And as you know, you've heard me say it many times, I will keep men out of women's sports. How ridiculous is that?
I just played hockey last night, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4 women on my team, which only had... No, sorry, 5. I almost forgot one, but it's questionable. I'm just kidding. 5 women's on the team of 9 players, plus the goalie. So half, if you include the goalie. But with all that gear on and everything, it's hard to tell what the goalie is. But anyway, there were men and women playing.
How ridiculous is that? And I will
Oh, and the best player on the ice? Woman.
sign a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states.
Because parents shouldn't have rights.
Think of how ridiculous that is.
I know, right? Let's say a 13-year-old, let's make it a 16 or 7. Let's make it a 17-year-old girl. Okay, we'll give you the benefit. Let's make it a 16-year-old girl decides I am not a girl. I need to, because of the gender dysphoria or whatever you want to call it, I'm absolutely miserable like this. And her doctor and her parents realize that this is going on, and because of many factors, including the high suicide rate amongst transgender youths, decide, you know what, it is best here, as prescribed by the Academy of American Pediatricians, maybe it's best here that we do operate and we do take away, we do a mastectomy. It's very rare. But let's just say that they do that. No. Okay, let's back away from that. Oh, you know what? Let's throw that. How about just some hormones? How about that? How about just some hormones to help you be who you identify as? For the sake of your mental health, so that you don't kill yourself. How about that? No! The doctor, the parents, the child, all of them. Every one of these 16-year-olds influences and important people in her life, the medical professional and the child all say, I would like to have this hormone therapy. Nope, not going to have the parental rights in play there. Child can't make that decision. The child is too irresponsible. But if that child gets pregnant, same people, 16-year-old can't make the decision to have hormones. 12-year-old has to have that baby.
Think of how, supposing it's
Has to have that child. Changes their life forever. Is not forced to give it up for adoption, by the way. That can be a very difficult process in some states.
10 or 15 years ago, I'm going to stop child sexual mutilation. Does anybody have to even say that? Can you imagine? But today you have to say it because that's what they do.
It's also called, it's not called mutilation, sir.
They mutilate these people.
They don't mutilate them.
People are sick. They mutilate
It's a medical procedure.
without parents' permission.
No, not without parents' permission. Is that a thing? Is he talking about ear piercings? Because I really don't think there's a lot of mastectomies. Again, exceedingly rare in the United States.
What they do to our children, they're destroying so much. I will also restore the Trump ban on transgender in the military. I had a ban on transgender in the military.
He was gonna do nothing but protect the LGBTQ community. He promised. He held up the rainbow flag. Another promise is broken. You know what, guys? I have to eat by 8 o'clock because that's the new regiment that I'm on, and I've lost weight, so I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna stick to it. I don't know. We're not going to see anything else new. I've been watching, and no one has posted anything new that we haven't seen yet, so I don't know that anything else has happened here. Let me just double check, and we'll catch up. Let's see if Asen's put anything down here in the last few minutes. The last thing was Trump on Barr. We saw that. How do you not get impeached? You do everything they want you to. He was a coward on Bill Barr. All right, well, that bar is set pretty low, and I think we've gone under it for today. So everybody, have a wonderful night. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Yes, Random says, surgery is rarely done on minors. It's like post-birth abortions. Well, no, because surgery on minors actually exists. All right, everybody, be good to yourself. Be good to others. Most importantly, be good to me. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. If we don't see you, I'll see you again soon. We got so much stuff coming up here. What do we have coming up? Oh, hopefully, the federal justice system is going to change their mind and we're going to have cameras in the courtroom because the Trump lawyers are asking for them and the Democrats in Congress are asking for them. You would think the Republicans would want it too because both sides think the more they see their side. And by the way, what'll happen then is they'll selectively, each side will just pull out selective clips and show those on Hannity or whatever. Okay, be good to others. Goodbye!